Well, puppies and kittens, that was a bit of Black Collar Crime. And that was by Matthew Planton, who represents Radio Hate. And yeah, I understand this is part of your new album. Tell us a bit about that.
That's right. We have a new album coming out on July 10th called A Better Way, released on my label, Rocket Vault Records. And Black Collar Crime is the second single for that album, offering a scathing rebuke of the institutional violence that the Catholic Church has perpetrated for centuries.
Well, it's well timed as far as institutional violence. We're certainly getting enough of that.
Absolutely. It was. It's kind of annoying. You make these things so far in advance before they come out, and it's like, had felt like it was bad to be railing against this when there's so much, more intense things happening right now. But certainly the heart of what this video is about speaks to the same issues we're seeing today all over the place.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see that people are waking up to this. I mean, of course, I've been aware of the Catholic Church thing for quite a long time. I remember it was 1990 was the first time that I heard in the news that that somebody that was a Catholic priest who had been convicted of child molestation, and it was in Louisiana, and the governor of Louisiana pardoned him because he was a man of the cloth, and that meant that, despite buggering little boys, that meant he was a good guy somehow.
Of course,
right?
Get a free pass.
Yeah. So you imagine how the parents were outraged, and they petitioned to the church, and you can imagine what kind of a response they got from the church. But the interesting thing was, this was the first time I'd ever heard that this thing was going on, and there was a bishop that responded and said that and I remember this line. He said, if the Catholic Church were to prosecute every pedophile priest, they would be into litigation in the billions of dollars. And that was the first mention, and it was in 1990. Just imagine how long ago that was, and how much everything had to build and compile and escalate to the point that you finally have a bishop going to prison over this.
Absolutely. The most frustrating thing is in any population of people, you're going to have good people and you're going to have bad people that do terrible things. But here you have a system set up specifically to hide and prevent and make sure that this is obfuscated and people don't find out about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's systematic and insidiously by design.
Yep. Yeah. I'm very fortunate. I grew up in a Catholic church to the age of, 8 or so. And, nothing happened to me, but it was found out later that a few of the priests there were moved around a few times, and they knew about all sorts of stuff they were doing, but they hid it.
So let's talk more about your music then. We understand where it's coming from.
So Radio Hate was conceived as just a solo project. I've been in bands over the years since high school in the late 90s, and I kind of faded away from playing live, but I had a lot of song ideas built up. And it really seemed like the most efficient way to get those down was to just do them myself. So I started setting up a little home studio and just dabbling here and there. And
once again, well timed for the period. I mean, working from a home studio, I think we're all there now, right?
Oh yeah, even my day job, I've been working from home since the day we left for our last tour, March 6th. I haven't been back to work. So I'm very fortunate to be able to still work from here and make a living. I know there's a lot of people that are in a lot worse shape.
So you're doing all the music yourself?
Yeah, the stuff on the records I do all myself. I love playing all the instruments, and I really love producing songs and going back and working on them and adding little things here and there. But we do play live, and I've got a few of my friends now that play. So we've done a couple short tours around the middle of the U.S., and it's been pretty well received, honestly.
Very, very good. Very good. I don't know what else to go on to as far as promoting the album. Of course, we've got the link down below that goes to your website. The video that I was just sampling came also from there. It's right on the main page. If there's anything else that you'd like to throw out there, is like maybe show dates or something along those lines, or if there's another detail that I should know, let's have it out. I'll give you another 5 minutes or so.
Sure. Well, there's a number of other videos up there, a couple from the last album and another one from this album, and there'll be another one coming out in July after the new album comes out. Unfortunately, we don't have any shows. We've missed out on a handful of them, obviously due to the pandemic now. but
Mhm.
we will be doing something on July 11th, the day after the album comes out. And it looks more and more with every passing day that it's going to be a virtual show, which we'll stream live from right here in the studio.
Okay, how many albums have you done?
This will be the third one. The third
For
full length.
Radio Hate?
Yep, that's right.
Did you do more under previous band names?
I've been in other bands over the years. Nothing too famous. The Shut Ups, Allied Victims, a Misfits cover band, a number of different things. I still play in guitar in a band called Darwin Trap. That's also out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Once upon a time, when I was living in El Paso, Texas, and there was a little club. I mean, a shit little club called Sound Seas.
Okay.
It was just a little warehouse downtown. Somebody happened to own this shitty little warehouse downtown, and everything inside it was bad. All the furniture was brought in from the desert that people had just like thrown away, and they would drag these. And so the interior furnishings are like that. Everything's covered in graffiti, but amazingly, this tiny little bar where there was BYOBs. I mean, they didn't sell alcohol, but they would allow you to bring alcohol in, and they would host shows. And the funny thing about this tiny little building of just and all of the decor being as I've described it, back in the 80s, imagine the punk movement of the 80s, is who was playing, because it was Millions of Dead Cops or whatever MDC stood for at that moment. And Henry Rollins was there. Suicidal Tendencies were there.
Amazing.
And probably, and it's amazing that it's just in this tiny little bit of a barn decorated this way. And probably my favorite name for a band that I've ever heard, Useless Pieces of Shit.
Perfect.
I really liked the punk movement back then.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of great music, out there, and that was part of the impetus for the name Radio Hate. It was really, I remember working at a pizza place back in 2007-ish, and it's like you'd leave for a delivery, and this terrible song would be on the radio when you left, and you'd come back, and the same one would be playing again 20 minutes later, and it was like, I didn't want to hear it the first 10 times you played it today. It's like, what's going on here? Is this music? Is this what's really happening?
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
Okay, well, I did wanted to get an idea of what Radio Hate stood for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking back, I probably would choose a different name. Honestly, the word hate in it is a little frustrating to hear, but it's certainly not directed towards any people, just towards that idea that I think most people can understand the frustration with at some point in their lives.
All right, very good. All right, Mr. Planton, Radio Hate, and the name of the album is A Better Way?
Way. That's right.
Excellent. Yep. All right, I think we will pick up where we left off, close out the rest of your video, and best of luck to you, sir.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot.